Look out any car window in America and you see the crop. Every lawn, every office park, every ball field, every fresh cul-de-sac. Grass. The one plant that grows almost anywhere, that every new house needs, that every stadium and golf course replaces on a cycle. Around 1,500 sod farms operate in the United States. Together they sell more than $1.2 billion of turf a year, off roughly 340,000 acres. Every new subdivision is a customer. Every washed-out sports field is a customer. Demand seems to grow with the country itself, and the product is just grass, the cheapest thing a field can grow. It sounds like the safest crop in all of agriculture. It is not. Sod is the only crop that starts dying the moment you harvest it. Heavy, perishable, and you cannot ship it far. Over half your cost is labor. And here is the part nobody sees coming. Every time you cut a harvest, you strip away part of your own topsoil and sell it with the grass. You are not slowly building a farm. You are slowly shipping one away. By the end, you will know what an acre of grass actually costs to grow, why over half the money goes to one line nobody expects, and why the ground under a sod farm can quietly turn into a pit. Let's open the books. Start with the land, because a sod farm needs a lot of it, and it needs to be the right land in the right place. Grass is low value per square foot, so you need scale. Growers who do this for a living say it is hard to run a serious operation on less than 75 to 100 acres. And unlike most crops, location matters as much as soil, because your product cannot travel. You want to be near a growing city, which means buying farmland near the exact places where farmland is most expensive. Then the machinery, and this is where sod stops being farming. A sod harvester, the machine that cuts and rolls turf, runs from $170,000 up toward $400,000. You need irrigation across the whole property, because a dry spell at the wrong moment ruins a harvest. You need trucks. You need a stacking and loading crew. Then you plant, and you wait. Seed or sprig the field, and it takes roughly 12 to 18 months of growing, watering, mowing, and weeding before the turf is dense and rooted enough to cut and sell. So the buy-in is heavy land, heavy iron, a full irrigation system, and a year and a half of care before the first dollar. A manufacturing business that happens to run on dirt. Buy the operation, and here is what actually comes with it. You inherit the clock. Once a piece of sod is cut, it is a dying thing. Rolled up, stacked on a pallet, roots severed, it starts to heat and yellow within hours. It has to be laid and watered within a day or two, or it is worthless. You are not selling a crop that waits in a barn. You are selling a countdown. You inherit the radius. Sod is mostly soil and water, so it is heavy. A full truck holds only about 22 pallets, and freight eats the margin fast. Past 50 to 100 miles, the cost of hauling grass kills the deal. Your entire market is a circle drawn around your farm, and nothing outside it exists to you. You inherit the thirst. Turf needs water constantly, and a drought does not just raise your water bill. It weakens the grass, thins the stand, and causes heavy waste at harvest, sometimes weeks after the dry spell ends. Weather does not inconvenience this crop, it decides it. And you inherit the slow disappearance of your own ground, which we will come back to, because it is the strangest cost in farming. That is what transfers. Now let's talk about the money coming in. A sod farm sells the same grass into very different markets, and the margins are not the same. Here they are. Number 1. Builder and residential turf, the bread and butter. Every new house wants an instant lawn, and landscapers buy sod by the pallet. Biggest volume, thinnest margin, and it lives and dies with new construction. Number 2. Commercial and municipal. Office parks, roadsides, medians. Steadier than housing, often tied to public budgets and stimulus projects, which kept some farms alive in lean years. Number 3. The premium tier. Golf courses and athletic fields. Putting green quality grass sells for far more per foot, but you need superior turf and real expertise. A golf course superintendent went through years of schooling. Selling to one is a different business than selling to a home builder. Number 4. Big roll and thick cut turf. Stadiums that need a surface installed in days buy giant rolls, cut thick, laid by machine. A specialized, high-value niche for the farms equipped to do it. Now the plain math. An acre of sod might sell around 40,000 square feet of turf. At an average wholesale price near 26 cents a foot, that is over $10,000 an acre in sales. After costs, a well-run acre can net around $5,600. On a few hundred acres, a real business. But that number hides where the money actually goes. Ask what the biggest cost on a farm is, and people guess land, or seed, or water. On a sod farm, the single biggest line is labor. It runs over half the total cost per acre. More than 50 cents of every dollar you spend, gone to people. Listen to that again. Over half the cost of growing grass is not the grass. It is the crews. Here is why. Most crops get harvested by a machine and a couple of operators. A combine does the work of 50 people. Sod refuses to cooperate. Cutting turf, handling delicate rolls without tearing them, stacking, loading, all in a tight window so the sod does not die, resists full automation. Human hands still guide every step. A sod farm is really a payroll with a field attached. Miss that, and the $10,000 number means nothing. Here is the real annual expense stack, and labor is only the top of it. Labor, over half. The crews, the drivers, the loaders. Water and irrigation, running constantly. Fuel for the harvesters and trucks. Fertilizer and lime, pushing grass to grow fast and thick. Reseeding, because after you cut a field you establish it all over again. More months and inputs before that ground pays a second time. Then the equipment. The harvester, depreciating. The irrigation system, breaking down at the worst moment in peak harvest, which multiplies labor cost when it does. And then the cost on no invoice. Every harvest, the blade skims off the grass with its roots, and a thin layer of soil underneath. Half an inch, give or take, gone with every cut, sold to the customer, never coming back. You are paying, quietly, in the one thing you cannot reorder, your own topsoil. A sod farm is not a field that produces a crop year after year. It is a field that gets a little thinner, a little lower, every single time it pays you. Here is the trap, and it is buried right under your feet. You are selling the farm itself, one roll at a time. Grass grows in topsoil. When you harvest sod, that topsoil leaves with it. Do it once and you never notice. Do it for 20 years, harvest after harvest, and the ground level of the whole farm drops. Growers who have run the same land for decades describe fields that have physically sunk several inches. Low spots that never drained before now holding water. A property slowly turning into a shallow pit after heavy rain. That is the long game of a sod farm, the opposite of most farming. A grain farmer who tends the land passes the same field to grandchildren. A sod grower is mining a finite resource that took nature centuries to build, and selling it off in green sheets. The soil has to be rebuilt between crops with compost, cover, and careful fertility, or the land degrades until it cannot grow saleable turf at all. Every dollar a sod farm earns comes with a little erosion of the thing that made it possible. Manage that, and you survive. Ignore it, and the field itself runs out. So why does a market this big even exist? Why does an entire billion-dollar industry rest on a plant with no nutritional value that people just want to look at? The answer is the American lawn, and it was, in large part, manufactured. After the Second World War, developers built suburbs at a scale never seen before. The most famous was Levittown. Thousands of nearly identical houses thrown up fast for returning soldiers. And these builders did not just sell houses. They sold a way of living, and a flat green lawn out front was mandatory. Some early suburban rules required residents to mow their grass and not let it go to weeds. A perfect lawn became a sign you belonged, that you were a good neighbor, that you had made it. That idea spread across the country. Today, the United States has tens of millions of acres of maintained lawn, more than any single irrigated crop grown for food. An ocean of grass that has to be planted, replaced, and repaired forever. The sod farmer exists because a nation was taught that bare dirt was a kind of failing. The market was not discovered. It was grown, right alongside the suburbs. Here is what happens when that demand suddenly turns off. The dangerous truth of a sod farm is that its customers are almost all tied to construction. New houses, offices, golf courses, fields. When building booms, sod booms. When building stops, it stops all at once. In 2008, the housing market collapsed, and it took sod with it. Across the country, sod producers reported orders falling by 30 to 60%, almost overnight. No new yard to fill, no new golf course to plant. The head of the National Turf Producers Group said demand went from record highs in the mid-2000s boom to record lows. Real farms did not survive it. One Ohio grower had started his turf company with his father in 1990. His customers split evenly across home builders, commercial builders, and sports fields, and in the crash, none were buying. He put the business on the auction block and shut the doors. In Georgia, the number of sod farms fell by roughly a third around the crash, and the farm gate value of turf was cut close to half. That is the hidden risk under the safe green grass. A sod farm is not really an independent business. It is a leveraged bet on the construction cycle, wearing overalls. When the economy sneezes, sod farms go to auction. So who makes it through the booms and the busts? 4 habits separate them. 1. They diversify beyond sod. The survivors of 2008 added landscape supply, ornamental products, hardscape, and services. One Ohio farm, once all sod, now earns the large majority of its money from other lawn products. When your one crop is chained to construction, a second and third income line is survival. 2. They own their radius. They lock in local contractors, deliver fast inside that tight circle, and build relationships a distant competitor cannot touch. When the market is a circle around the farm, being the trusted name inside it is the whole game. 3. They protect the soil. The growers who last treat topsoil like the finite asset it is, rebuilding organic matter between crops, testing constantly. They are not just growing grass, they are defending the ground it grows in. 4. They run it like a factory, automating the harvest where they can, timing production to demand, managing the perishable clock like a logistics company. The old sod men said it themselves. This is a manufacturing business, not traditional farming, and the ones who treat it that way survive. Does a sod farm actually work? Let's run both years. The good year. Housing is booming. Subdivisions rising all around your city, everyone needing lawns. You run a few hundred acres, netting thousands per acre, selling premium turf to golf courses and stadiums on the side. You deliver fast inside your radius, keep your soil healthy, and the harvester runs 6 days a week. In a year like that, a well-run sod farm is a strong business, and a surprisingly sophisticated one. The bad year. Construction freezes, orders drop by half or more. Your crop does not wait, so grass you cannot sell keeps growing, or gets cut and dies on the pallet. Your labor bill does not shrink as fast as your revenue, and under it all, the ground gets a little lower every time you do make a sale. That is the year the auction sign goes up, and in 2008, for many farms, it did. So here is the honest verdict. A sod farm is a real, at its best lucrative, manufacturing business built on the most ordinary plant alive. But it carries 3 quiet risks most crops do not. It sells a product dying on delivery. It rents its demand from the construction industry, and it slowly consumes the ground it stands on. You are not really growing grass. You are running a payroll and a fleet in a circle around your farm, converting your own topsoil into green rolls, and hoping the builders keep building. That's the whole thing, and the field is lower than when we started. You were never selling a lawn. You were selling the ground it grew in, one truck at a time, to a customer who only calls when the economy is good. The grass was never the crop. The soil under it was, and every harvest you sell a little more of it away.